Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning. Welcome to it's a Friday edition. We made it, folks. We made it to Friday. It's Pod Up with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to carry. Got JC. We'll talk a little sports, talk a little baseball, a little NFL. We'll do our Peachland Dentistry weekend picks. Second portion of the day, I'll have Edgar Thompson from the Orlando Sentinel joining the program. Good morning, JC. How are you?
Yeah, man, here I am. It's Friday. I love this week and this game this weekend. They're going to be so exciting. SEC is really cranking up, and certainly we have a big game in the Big Ten. We've got baseball just flooding the televisions right now, and afternoon baseball this time of year is a lot of fun because we're into the I guess it's the wild card round. It will be followed by the divisional round, and then or the championship and then the league championship series, and then of course World Series. Last night, loved seeing what Tampa did. Actually, they're the St. Pete Rays. This should be a STP on this hat instead of a TB, just like the St. Louis Cardinals have the S with the T and the L. There should be an S with a T and a P, but they play in St. Pete and they represent Tampa somehow, and they win. They are the American League champions. They've won the league twice in their history. They have the best scouting system and the best minor league system in all of baseball, year in and year out. And they come up with guys that nobody's heard of and kick your ass. And they put it on the Red Sox last night. Their pitching is tremendous. They get timely hitting. Nelson Cruz hit a ball that almost hit the roof. It was just, in front of 20-something thousand fans, it was a big party for the Rays. And so we are acknowledging the St. Pete Rays today in our hopes that maybe they'll win the World Series.
I didn't get to see any of that game. How many people were there?
I'm going to guess 20, 25, maybe at the most.
What's it seat?
Well, with the full capacity, if they make it to the World Series, they'll actually fill the upper decks. But the upper decks looked half empty. And for the most part, folks just don't sit up there. So 25, maybe 30. I'll give you a number. I'll get you a number. And it will be believable because this is college football.
You can't believe anything they put on these apps.
Well, no. I think baseball's 27,400. So I was only a couple thousand off. So I said 25, 20, 25, 27,400. Now that's pretty good. That's really good for a Tampa Bay Rays game, and it'll just be higher from there the longer they play. But Houston had their 45, 50,000. LA had their 50, 60,000. San Francisco, same thing. And of course, the White Sox will have 60,000, 50, 60,000 when they go back to Chicago. So, this is just the way it is. But listen, the Tampa Bay Rays play. The place got loud, even though there was 27,000 fans. It's a dome, so it gets louder inside. The noise stays in, and great. I was happy to see them just punk the Red Sox. I hope they win 3 straight games, end that series, and go right on into the Houston-Chicago winter.
I'm trying to remember. I took the youngin to the World Series.
You did that one year. Yep.
I can't remember who they played.
They played I want to say the Phillies? In 08. Was it 08? You took the youngster?
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So they played.
That's the only game I've been there.
Well, you didn't go back. It's a shocker. They played the Phillies, and the Phillies won it in 08. I think Joe Madden was the manager. Maybe my timelines are wrong here, but last year they had a chance to win it. They played the Dodgers. Maybe they'll get a rematch with the Dodgers again this year. That San Francisco, LA, by the way, San Francisco and LA is really going to be exciting. And going back to Tampa, the Red Sox had not been shut out in 5 years. This was the first shutout in 5 years for the Red Sox in playoff baseball. So the Rays are not intimidated, scared, or impressed by the Red Sox. It's different than like maybe the Yankees who have trouble throwing strikes. The Rays pitchers throw strikes. They challenge, and the hitters are aggressive. It's just incredible. I love the job that Kevin Cash has done. Young guy, doesn't get much attention, and just wins your division every year. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, JC, a good friend of ours. We went to the Buchholz Gainesville High game last night. Buchholz came away. Congratulations to them. Both those teams set offense behind. It looked like the 1960s.
I thought Buchholz was better.
Well, they are. They just didn't play good on offense. And GHS defense is pretty good, but it was 6-3 at half. Okay. The turning point of the entire game, and I know people don't care about this. So Buchholz kicks off, and if the ball goes into the end zone, it's dead. You can't bring it out at all in high school.
Okay.
So this kid goes over his head. He's on about the 4 or 5. It goes over his head. It hits right before the goal line and bounces back into play because the kid, he just waved it off, was walking to the sideline, and he saw it hit, and he dove on it. And then they got the ball started on their own 3-yard line, and then they ran 2 punts back for touchdowns. It was but anyway, both teams were not very good offensively. Me and my buddy were trying to figure out what the hell they were both teams were trying to do.
And Whittemore, right? I mean, I would think he's more offensive minded.
He is, but they're not a great throwing team. They can run it.
Okay.
And so anyway, enough of that. We have our Beachland industry picks coming up here in a second.
Baby.
We got a bunch of Facebook Lives that.
All right, let's get it.
Let's see here. So I want before we get to that, I want to get to. Did you watch any of the NFL game? I got to see the second half.
Did yep. My Rams. My Rams.
Did you have on your Todd Gurley jersey?
No, I didn't have Todd Gurley. He doesn't play for them anymore. But I
had a jersey.
And I got to say, speaking of jerseys, the Rams have what could be considered the worst uniforms and color scheme pretty much of all time. I mean, they look so cheap. They look like they went to Kmart or Walmart, I guess, picked up something on the sale rack, put a patch on there that says Los Angeles Rams. The colors are awful. The numbers look like they were ironed on. It's just such a cheap look. I can't stand it. I wish they'd go back to the uniforms they had. But as far as the game goes, Stafford had a pretty good game throwing the ball. Woods had a really good game catching the ball. Cooper Kupp as well. And when Russell Wilson hurt his finger, even though Geno Smith did pretty well, I think that was the end of the game. And the Rams, look, Sean McVay owns Pete Carroll. I think he's 7-3 against Pete Carroll. So he has had success against he can't beat the 49ers, but he can beat the Seahawks. He's usually beaten the Cardinals. But right now, I think the Cardinals are the best team in that division. The Rams are certainly the second best right now. And then you've got the Niners and Seahawks who are going to have to fight to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, so both quarterbacks had finger injuries, which was interesting.
Stafford, though, played through. I mean, he finished the game. Geno Smith came in and bailed out Russell and really played well, I think, for a reserve to come into that situation.
He did.
So the Rams get, the weekend off. The Seahawks, the Rams. Now, look, the Rams could easily be 7-1 here shortly. They've got the New York Giants. They should win that. They've got the Detroit Lions. They will win that. And they've got the Houston Texans. They will win that. So now those next 3 games look pretty good for the Rams on the schedule. And I'm thinking 7-1 here in a few weeks. And so that keeps my tickets valuable on the NFL ticket exchange. So I'm pretty excited about that.
What does an NFL ticket cost these days?
Well, the Rams tickets face value are in the 90s, upper 90s. There's 79,000 seats in that stadium. And then there's a lot of standing room only. It's just like Dallas. You can get 80, 90 in there maybe. But Dallas probably has more standing room only. But it just depends on, I think, the team or the team that you go watch. I would doubt the Falcons tickets are as much as the Cowboys tickets and so forth. Maybe they are the same. It depends on the ownership. But I think, you go to a game in LA or Dallas, you're going to spend a couple $100 to just for one ticket. And that's just the inflation of what these tickets, the price that they command, because people are so thirsty to go to football games in these cities after all the lockdowns and everything else we've had to deal with.
Yeah. We had a Facebook Live, Dan asking, will Elam be back for Vanderbilt? I'm not sure. I will ask Edgar Thompson. He goes to all the press conferences. They won't need him. Trust me. I'm telling you right now, folks, this Vanderbilt team is so bad.
Yeah. It's like that.
It is so bad.
It's like those high school offenses you saw last night, bro. I mean, they had 4 first downs against Georgia. They had 77 total yards against Georgia. And certainly Georgia is the most impressive defense we've seen in college football to this point. But 4 first downs and 77 yards means
I don't even look at that. I throw that game out. I look at when they struggle and have to kick a game winner against UConn.
That's a good point.
UConn is by far maybe the worst team in America. But anyway,
and by the way, they play UMass this weekend. The UConn-UMass game, big border rivalry right there, QB.
UMass has not won a game this year.
Then neither has UConn.
You know, I had Brent Beard on the show yesterday. There's 4 teams in America that have not won a game. And I told Brent that'd be a damn good Final Four. It's Arizona, UMass,
South
UConn.
Florida. It's South Florida.
Is South Florida worth the damn in basketball?
I don't think so.
Okay, listen to what I said. Be a damn good Final Four. Arizona.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you
UMass.
said football. I didn't hear you. Okay.
These are four teams that have not won a football game this year, but it would be a very good Final Four. I'm going to. You want me to repeat it one more time?
I get you say a Final Four in basketball. You could also have a Final Four in football, QB. In fact, we do have a Final Four.
That's called the 4-team playoff.
What?
So listen to me. Arizona, UConn, UMass, and UNLV.
Yeah.
Those are the teams that ain't won a game.
Yeah. I would look. These schools just don't have the money. They don't have the resources. They're never going to compete. Well, maybe they will, but it's a shame to watch. I hate watching. I mean, Vanderbilt. I really think. I mean, I don't know what they do with the TV money, QE, and I know you say they're
building facilities.
I hear that, but I mean, really? Are you sure?
I don't know if it's not going to matter there. John says, I saw on Facebook Live, brought to you by Metal Law. He said, I saw the spread for Florida Vandy's now 39. Do you think the Gators cover? In my opinion, it should be 42-0 at half. Minimum.
It should be. Yeah, you're right. You know, Florida is 2-3 against the number, and they played two very poor teams. So I don't know. I mean, they're 2-3 against the spread, the Gators. So you know, and Vegas has this way of figuring out what the score is going to be. And you know, Florida covered against Alabama. Florida covered against Tennessee. Florida did not cover against FAU, USF, or Kentucky. So 39 is a big number, but we're going to pick it. We're going to pick it, QB.
Yeah. Turn your car truck into a rolling billboard for your business or brand with an eye-catching vehicle wrap from Wrap Spot this October. Mention promo code Shane. Receive 13% off your vehicle wrap. Joseph says, can we score 39 points, though, with this offense? Well, you scored, 20? How many? We scored 28 on the great Alabama defense, right?
That's right, yes.
JC, I want to read This Day in Sports real quick. So listen to this. This Day in Sports brought to you by Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. Comfort Temp's hiring team members with all levels of experience. They give you a $1,000 signing bonus. Give them a call, 352-376-2366. This Day in Sports, 1957. I'm sure this was one of your teams back in those days. The Brooklyn Dodgers announced the move to Los Angeles. Why did they move, JC? You got any idea?
I don't. Probably had something to do with the ownership team and the fact that they didn't want to be in Brooklyn, weren't getting what they wanted. So they said, let's head west, young man. And there they go. Same thing with the Giants. They moved west too.
Yeah. So anyway, that's brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp. All right. You ready for some Peachland Dentistry?
Let's get this is exciting. Let me get my
Nation's number one choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte and surrounding areas. Visit them at peachlanddental.com.
Okay.
All right, you got all your Bevo gear on.
Absolutely. This is my special. I've had this now for 2 weeks. I've been telling you about this. But here we go. We're going to start it off with the SEC, Arkansas, Mississippi. This is a big rivalry game. Folks don't know it around here, but these two schools have a huge rivalry and fan bases don't like each other at all. Mississippi is 5.5-point favorite. Who can rebound from the butt kicking they took last week, QB? Go ahead.
It'd be an entertaining game. I don't know. Ole Miss is one of those. Both these teams are the ones that they just fool you. You know, you think they're going to be very good. I haven't been on Arkansas. I didn't think they were very good from the get-go. I know you were loving them a couple of weeks ago. I'm going to take Arkansas getting the points though because I think. Oh my
gosh!
Well,
I pre-filled you. I pre-filled you in for Ole Miss. I'm taking that off now.
Do you remember what Arkansas did to the Rebels last year?
Yeah, 6 or 7 interceptions. How many?
Yeah.
Well, listen, Barry Odom is going to do what he can do, but he's not playing. And this is the third tough game for Arkansas. They're beat up. Typically, I would take Arkansas, but I'm taking Mississippi because they have the better quarterback. he will not throw 7 interceptions this time. I'll take.
I agree with that, but you were all loving on.
I do. I think they're
Jefferson
going
a couple
to.
weeks ago.
Listen, I think they're going. I don't think he's as good as Corral, but I think he's okay. But I think they're winning 7 games, Arkansas, at least this year. Yes. LSU is traveling to the place Florida was at last week. This game could be a make it or break it game for Ed Orgeron, QB. The seat is getting warm there. Kentucky, they're going to have to come down from that emotional win against Florida, but they're only laying 3. And defensively, this is the story. LSU cannot run the football. They average 2.4 yards per carry. They have had, I think, less than 100 yards rushing in just about all of their games. They cannot run the football. Kentucky is very stout defensively, as we know. I've got the Wildcats. I think it should be more like 5, 6 points, but it's only 3. Give me Kentucky.
I'm taking the LSU Tigers to win the game.
Oh, my. And can you give me a reason why you like that?
Kentucky's never been in this situation. They've been sitting in class all around town talking about how great they are. Mm-hmm. And LSU, as you said, they can't run the football, but I think the weakness of Kentucky's defense is in the secondary, and LSU has some dudes on the outside. Max Johnson's played pretty well. As you said, 3 is not – it should be more. Something's fishy.
All right, so we got the difference there and a difference in the first game. Then we go to Alabama, Texas A&M. Neither one of us, I think, are going to disagree on this one, and I've said I'll never bet against Alabama. So I'll lay the 17.5.
Yep, I think I'll take Alabama in just a massacre because I don't think
the shame what happened.
I don't think A&M can score because they refuse to give the ball to their good players.
Not sure, but hey, they did give Jimbo $2 million, 2 more extra years on top of the $7 million in the 7 years he's had, and they just have more money than they know what to do with. So this is what they do with it. South Carolina is at Tennessee, and I'll tell you, I was one of the very surprised people in America that saw Tennessee last week just explode on Missouri. Missouri then follows up with firing their defensive line coach last week. So there's some chaos in Missouri, but Tennessee, I think, look, we saw them down here. They are better. This coach knows what he's doing. They have decided on a full-time quarterback. They don't have any questions there. Hooker's not too bad. Tennessee is laying 10.5 and will beat South Carolina by 17.
Yeah, it's a big number for Tennessee, but as you said, Tennessee. South Carolina's trouble putting the ball in the end zone. Heupel at least will throw it a bunch, so I'll take the balls. And
they get Alabama next week. Tennessee does, so this is another chance for them to score a lot of points before that game, just like they did last week. Florida State's playing North Carolina. Quickly on that one, I hate FSU. I think North Carolina will blow them out, 17.5.
North Carolina by 17.5 over the semis.
Yeah, and Chapel Hill. Yeah.
That's a lot of points.
Yeah, Carolina's going to score a lot too, QB.
I know. Let me think about it. That's a weird number. Florida State's not very good. Even though they got their big win. North Carolina is a hard team to figure out. I'll take the Tar Heels.
So that'll be a big score in all likelihood, but this one could be very close. These next 2 Big Ten games I'm going to throw at you. First, let's go with Michigan at Nebraska. Now, Nebraska's 3-3. We all looked like Scott Frost was in serious trouble after that loss to Illinois to open the season. But since then, Nebraska has played much better. This Michigan team is absolutely much better. But I looked at their schedule, and they haven't done anything against anybody either, in my opinion. I think Nebraska at home in Lincoln, a big win last week, albeit over Northwestern. But they're getting 3 points, and this is one of my upset picks. I'm taking Nebraska to upset Michigan. I'm not a believer in Michigan, not yet anyway.
Yeah, I got the Cornhuskers as well. I think they win the game outright. Hang on a second. We got a couple of Facebook Lives brought to you by Melton Law. Mm-hmm. John says that this game, he's referring to the Alabama A&M game. If it was played 5 weeks ago, Shane would have taken the Aggies. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if it had been played 5 weeks ago, they would have had their quarterback, and the line wouldn't have been 17. But yeah, I think I wasn't the only person wrong on the Aggies. I think the entire country was. Tim says, I'm telling you, NFL running backs on the Aggies. I don't know if he's being sarcastic or what, but I'm telling you right now, they have 4 NFL players that will be drafted extremely high on their offense. So I'm just telling you.
All right. Tell me. All right. So we've got Nebraska in that Michigan game. Penn State at Iowa, dude. That's a slobber knocker. game at Kinnick Stadium, Penn State on the road. Everybody's favorite in the Big Ten, but I take the Hawkeyes. Give them to. It's a 1.5 point spread, and I like the home team. So give me Iowa. You like Sean Clifford in Penn State? I know you want to take him. I know you want to take him.
Why is it only 1.5?
Yeah. I mean, Penn State's claiming great defense.
I'm just neither one of these teams are great.
They're undefeated.
I'm going to take Penn State.
Wait a minute. QB, they're ranked in the top 5.
Have you watched them play?
Well, I mean, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, I'm going to take Penn State just because you took Iowa. I mean, here's the thing, JC. Why is it only 1.5 points?
Yeah, I get it. You're right. Notre Dame at Virginia Tech. Notre Dame coming off the loss. Virginia Tech getting a 1 point at home. I mean, they're at home. Don't they win there? So I'm going to take Virginia Tech, and I can't wait to see Notre Dame lose its second straight game.
Yeah, I got the Hokies too. I don't know why we're picking the same games.
Well, no, here's one you're going to be very different on, and I want to hear your reasoning. But Oklahoma and Texas are playing. 12 o'clock game Eastern, 11 o'clock Central. I have no idea why they do that to those fans in the Cotton Bowl at the fair. They need to play this game later in the day or in the afternoon. It'd be better for the experience. But Texas is getting 3 points. And listen, this team changed everything after that beatdown against Arkansas. Bijan Robinson is going to be very difficult for Oklahoma to handle in space. Casey Thompson is a very good quarterback relative to what they've had. I think Texas, this is the year. They win this game by 7 to 10 points. And so I've taken the.
Can I have that? Can I have that wager?
I'm just telling you what's going to happen. No, you get 3 if you want. No, you don't get anything, by the way. I get 3.
You just said they were going to win by 10.
But we won't even bet the spread, you and me. I'm going to get a very expensive lunch date out of this. I'm taking the one.
JC,
you got your beloved Sooners.
I think Sarkisian has done a wonderful job. Does it concern you at all that they struggled and barely beat the TCU Horned Frogs when SMU blew out the Horned Frogs? Does that bother you?
No.
SMU beat them by like 20.
Every game's different, QB. Every game's different. That's what you say to me. And listen, Oklahoma barely beat Tulane. Oklahoma
has not played well. I agree.
All right. So then, okay. Well, you take your Sooners. There you go. Boom. You got them. You love them. They're yours. Here we go. Georgia and Auburn, oldest rivalry in the South, QB. I've never seen a line this big, at least in recent history that I can remember. The Dogs, everybody's number 1 team in the country. They should put them in the NFC South, right? I mean, they should be playing with the Falcons and the Bucks and the Panthers and the Saints because they're so great, the Georgia Bulldogs, who haven't won a damn thing in 30, 40 some odd years. But they're playing Auburn on the Plains, laying 15.5 points to Bo Nix and the circus, the traveling circus that is known as Auburn football. What do you think there, QB? 15.5.
I think Georgia hammers them. I think Auburn's going to have trouble moving the football. They're 100%. So inconsistent. I think Georgia wins big.
Oh, I do too, man. I'm thinking 27 to 10 type of game, maybe even more than that. It's just Auburn's not going to score. We then go a couple more quickly here. We've got a few minutes. Yeah, Boise State at BYU. It's a big game out west. BYU. Kalani Sitake is my pick for the USC head coach. He will be the USC head coach at the end of the year.
There is no way in hell they hire that guy.
He has a huge Polynesian, is big in the Polynesian community. That is big in that part of the country. He is going to be the SC coach. BYU is laying 5.5.
Can I get a nice expensive lunch on that wager?
Only if I can get one on Lane Kiffin being the coach.
Lane has $1 million chance compared to. $1 million. Yes.
Okay, I'm sure.
Okay, so either Lane or you're a BYU guy. You got a deal.
Okay, good, because that's just going to be, the second one you lose after the Oklahoma, Texas, but that's fine. So what do you got? Boise State?
What is the spread?
5.5, I said.
Where's the game at?
It's it's in Utah, Provo, or wherever the hell they play. Yeah, it's at BYU.
That's
BYU. By the way, you laugh about BYU. They're the Pac-12 South leaders right now. Okay,
I'm not laughing at them. I think they're very good. I think if they run the table, they deserve to be in before Cincinnati because their schedule's better. But 5.5 does not. They should be. Boise has a losing record.
I don't understand why that's only 5.5. I think it's a gift. So I'm taking BYU.
Well, I think it's a sucker bet, but I'm going to take BYU.
You are. That brings us to the homecoming game here in the beautiful city of Gainesville. 39 points. We've already said what we think the score will be. Nobody's paying attention to this game, and for good reason. This is a game you take your young children to and show them all the cool stuff at Florida Field. 39 points. I don't know why Vegas hasn't made this a bigger number. I don't know why it's not in the high 40s, frankly. Maybe they just don't believe in Florida's offense, QB. Could that be?
Well, I mean, they may just don't. They may not believe Florida's a very good team. I mean, but Florida should win this game handily. I mean, like I've said it many. Vanderbilt is absolutely horrible.
Worst SEC team to come in here in decades, maybe generations. And
well, somebody the other day
they have given up on football there.
I forgot the other day somebody put on Facebook Live. They thought, I guess Vandy went 1-10 and 0-11 back to back or something. I can't remember who said coached those teams, and I don't remember what years they were.
QB, they will punt the ball 14 to 15 times in this game, probably.
If they have the ball that much.
Right. Yeah. Right. They're not going to have they're going to have maybe 8 first downs in this game. I can't talk about it. It's just, I mean, there's nothing to see here. There's zero to see. It's not Florida's fault. There's nothing Florida can do about it. They have to play this team on the schedule. I just wish the conference would boot these guys out of the league. All right. So then we've got that. And yeah, they're great at baseball. Phenomenal. They wouldn't have baseball if it wasn't for that TV money in football. You should have seen their plays before they won anything in baseball. It looked like something over there at Eastside. All right, so we've got an NFL game for you. The Bills play the Chiefs. This will be very entertaining. Kansas City has had their number. There's something different about this Buffalo team. They are your Super Bowl champion team that you're picking this year. If they played the Steelers tomorrow, they would win by 3 touchdowns. Buffalo is just so much better than they've been, I think, in the past. It's just the evolution of getting better, I think, with the same players they've kept in the locker room. Kansas City's great, but Kansas City's going to lose their 3rd game, and I'm taking Buffalo getting 2.5.
Yeah, I like the Buffalo Bills for sure. No
bonus pick real quick, Bucks laying 10 against Miami.
Bucks laying 10.
I got a stat for you about the Miami Dolphins that explains why they.
I'm going to take Miami getting the points because I know you want Tampa.
Are you? I got Tampa. Now, here's why Miami stinks. Miami has had all the picks, all the money, all the advantages in the draft to do better and play, harder and win more. But this is an example of how bad it is in Miami. The Dolphins took Ronnie Brown over Aaron Rodgers. Then 3 years later, they took Jake Long over Matt Ryan. They then take poor Tua, who can barely walk, over Justin Herbert, who is probably one of the most impressive quarterbacks in the league. Forget the fact that he's only been in the league 2 years. He's one of the most impressive quarterbacks in the league, period. And they didn't even look at him. The Dolphins are idiots. They don't know how to draft.
We don't know if they didn't look at him.
They didn't even look at him. They look. Here's the thing. If they looked at him, and then they didn't care. The thing is, they haven't drafted well in so long, and it shows on the field year in and year out. They had a top pick not long ago and took some skinny lineman from Oregon who nobody knows where he is these days. They just don't pick well. They're like Jacksonville. These teams can't draft. They don't know what they're doing, and that's why they lose on Sunday, and that's why they are what they are.
John says Justin Herbert has a lot of weapons around him. Yes, he does. There's no
Great
question.
point, but he makes the passes. And you can have all the weapons you want. He is as good as it gets in that conference, in that division, in the AFC. I'm telling you, it's Mahomes, and it's Josh Allen, and it's Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
I mean, go on. Tell me I'm wrong. That's who it is.
Herbert was being so athletic and with his strong arm, he understands all the different throws. Yeah. JC, before we let you go, I want to test your trivia knowledge here with the Big Ten.
But he's right about the Chargers, though. He is right about the Chargers. They are Allen and Williams on the outside, Eckler behind. They are loaded. They could win that division, and that's.
But you know what's great. You know what's great about the Chargers? Those weapons around him aren't household names or high draft picks.
Well, Keenan Allen. No, you're right. No, but I think most.
Do you even know where Keenan Allen played college ball?
I don't know where he played college ball, but I know. I mean, he's one of the best in the league.
I know, but
where did he play?
I think he's from Fresno State.
Fresno. Okay.
Where did Austin Eckler play?
I couldn't tell you.
I couldn't tell you that either.
Yeah. No, it's true. I mean, but we do know where Mike Williams played. We also know where Joey Bosa played. We also know where Herbert played. And listen, the Chargers with Brandon Staley coaching them now instead of that Anthony Lynn fella, it's just so much. They're just better. I love the Chargers, right? I'm not big. In fact, I'm going to go get me a Chargers hat, I think.
I think you should. John asked, did I go with Stafford on my fantasy team last night? I did, because I had him the previous week and I forgot to even look and figure out who I should play. So he didn't have a great night from a fantasy standpoint, I think.
Well, he had one touchdown.
I got to test your knowledge here of the Big Ten, JC. Traditionally, Ohio State and Michigan have been the constant powerhouses in the Big Ten. In fact, number 3 Iowa and number 4 Penn State meet Saturday. It'll be the first matchup between Big Ten teams ranked in the top 5 without Ohio State or Michigan being involved since 1962.
Wow.
Who are those 2 teams that played?
In 62? I'm going to say, I will say it was in 62. Wow. Let's go with Iowa and Purdue. Wisconsin was one of them. Wisconsin beat the Gophers of Minnesota 14-9.
And
won the Axe. And that was Paul Bunyan's Axe QB. Or did they play for the bucket? Is it the Axe or the bucket? I think
it's
Wisconsin.
One of those down. It's something like that.
Wisconsin and Minnesota play for the Axe. Some Old Oaken bucket, I think, goes to another
Purdue
one
in Indiana.
Oh, that's Purdue in Indiana. There you go. Very good, QB. Well,
all right,
JC, it's going to be a great weekend. Yeah. Enjoy the game.
I hope your Longhorns play well.
And I can't wait for us to go somewhere expensive. I think I'll go with a Cheesecake Factory, somewhere nice and expensive for you.
All right. We'll make sure you order something healthy. That's JC. Join us on the Titan MR hotline. When we come back, we'll be joined by Florida Gators beat writer for the Orlando Sentinel, Edgar Thompson, talking a little Gator football. You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Great Clips, it's gonna be great. Our Gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, South State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co. Some of our touchdown sponsors are MB Listing, Cornerstone Financial, McDonald's of Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Avera and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Visor's Tailgate and Rooftop Bar, located on top of Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point, is now open Thursday through Saturday. Visor's covered open-air bar is the perfect place to gather after work or meet up with friends. You'll love the handcrafted cocktails and elevated shareables available every Thursday through Saturday. Visor's Tailgate and Rooftop Bar is perfect for fans of great food, great drinks, and great weather. Visors not required. High spirits are highly encouraged. Visit spurriers.com/visors.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you. Center State Bank is now South State Bank, but we still put business first. We understand that small businesses need a community business partner that they can rely on. South State still has 4 convenient Alachua County locations. South State Bank, thinking forward, member FDIC. We're now going to go to the Titan MR hotline, and we're joined by, as I said, Florida Gator beat writer for the Orlando Sentinel, Edgar Thompson. Good morning, Edgar. How are you?
I have an account at South State Bank.
There you go.
Do I get a kickback?
You do. You go tell them that you are signed up because of Pot Up with Matthews in the morning, they may put a extra deposit in your account.
I tell you, that bank has changed about 4 times now as Florida Citizens. When I first moved to Gainesville,
Yeah.
I have like their 3,000th account or whatever, but they have switched a few. But yeah, seems like a good bank now. Anyway,
No doubt.
how are you doing?
Doing good, Edgar. We're coming off a horrible loss to Kentucky, getting ready for homecoming against horrible. I've already quoted that I think Vanderbilt's the worst SEC team I've ever seen and since I've been alive. Let's just go back to the Kentucky game. Just give me your thoughts on that game, what you saw, how we lost it. I mean, what went wrong?
It starts with the sloppiness. It was one of the sloppiest performances. It's the worst game under Dan Mullen the Gators have played. I know the Cotton Bowl was just a total blowout and an embarrassment, honestly, just a no-show. But a lot of players weren't in that game, and there was nothing to play for that day. I mean, this was a critical game to the Gators' hopes to defend the SEC East title. There was no margin for error after the Alabama loss, which was like one of those moral victories that I know people don't like to embrace, but that truly was. I mean, that was shaping up to be a real ugly game, and the Gators showed a lot of grit, fight, and a lot of physicality that this team hasn't really shown. And you're going to Kentucky favored, and you knew it was going to be a tough game. I mean, I've been to the Kentucky games. I was at the Del Rio game. I was at the Trask game. I was at the Leak game back in 2003. That was my first Kentucky game when J. Lo was the quarterback, and they came back from 18 down there. So there have been some dramatic wins there. So you know it was going to be a tough one, but it was just a comedy of errors. And besides that, the offensive execution was just left a lot to be desired, and it makes you really wonder about, like, going forward, what the plan is, how you play, how you use Emory, what you're getting out of Emory. It just raised a lot of questions. And the thing I'm noticing, Shane, more than anything, is the angst among fans with Dan is the highest it's been. This one loss affected Gator Nation, so to speak, more than anyone so far. I rank it in the top 3 worst. I mean, I think the homecoming loss to Missouri was pretty bad in that 18. That wasn't a good performance. And then coming off the Georgia loss, and then the Cotton Bowl, I mean, it was just brutal. But this was a bad one, man.
No, I agree. It was not good. Seeing it in person, it was hard to believe what I was watching. And, you talked about being sloppy, which it was. But the first quarter, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if we had a penalty.
There was one on the first drive, on the touchdown drive. There was a false start.
Right. Okay.
Because I was looking at it the other day.
Yeah, but like we only had maybe one penalty in the entire first quarter, and then you got 14 in the last 3. So I don't know what went wrong. Real quick on Facebook Live, brought to you by Metal Law. Lauren says, I really like reading Edgar's columns. So,
that's very nice. Yeah. I'm getting filleted on Twitter. I'll tell you about that in a minute. All
right. Well, yeah, I'd like to know.
A Bianchi column that nothing I even wrote, but I'll tell you about that in a minute. Okay. Come back to that because he wrote an interesting column. We should discuss the topic. It was Anthony Richardson.
Okay, yeah, we'll definitely get into that. But back to this game, I didn't think Dan called a great game, and obviously we can sit here and second guess. It's easy for us to do, but I didn't think he was aggressive at all. Being there, seeing it in person, we attempted 2 balls, 2 deep balls. We caught one. We got PI on the other. Other than that, we never threw it down the field. We never had anybody running downfield. So I don't know what they saw. I personally think the more now that getting away from Saturday, I think he has trouble calling plays against Mark Stoops' defense, if you think about it. I mean, think about the last 4 years. We could easily be 1-3 against them.
Oh, it should be.
Yeah. So anyway, it's
well, maybe not should be. I mean, Kyle Trask was a phenomenal player, and he did what he did, and the rest is history.
Right. But yeah, he came off the bench. We started throwing the ball, and personally, watching Kentucky on tape, I thought where to attack them was in the secondary. I thought that's the weakness That's why I think LSU is going to beat them this week, is because I think LSU can throw the football at I don't want to say a high level, but because they can't run it at all, so they're going to throw it 50 times. So anyway, it's over with and done. We got Vanderbilt coming for homecoming. It's a noon
What
game.
about Josh Paschal?
Well, we couldn't block him.
That kid's unreal, man. I mean, I remember Bud Dupree for them, and he was a first-round pick. This guy, Bud Dupree, didn't look half as good as this guy. This
that's
guy
why I know,
just
I know
wrecked
a lot
the
of people,
line.
Yeah, the offensive line did not play well at all. We had a touchdown pass on the second to last series. We had one-on-one. Protection broke down. However, we ran the fake the quarterback draws, drop back, and he got hit, and it fluttered in the end zone. But there was no reason to even fake the run there because it's man coverage. The faking is not going to do anything to the corner. But anyway, regardless of that, it was a bad loss. I thought defense played well, but I told somebody that may have been on this show, if we just missed that field goal, we'd still probably win the game. The blocked field goal, which was horrible protection, horrible fundamentals, and when you run a field goal back like that, the chances of you winning a game are very slim when you were struggling like we were. But that was the biggest play of the game, as bad as all the penalties and all that. If we just miss that field goal and they get the ball right there, I doubt they score.
Yeah, no, it's a great look. They score on a 41-yard incredible play. Yes, missed tackles, and Trey Dean, guy's got 27 tackles in the last 3 games, but he should have like 35. I mean, I'm kidding, maybe not that many, but 31. It's like the missed tackles by some of these guys is epidemic. And I get it. Open field tackling is very difficult skill. It's very underrated skill. I tell you, going back, Brian Poole, I remember when he didn't get invited to the combine, I was kind of like, that guy's one of the best open field tacklers I've ever seen. He was amazing. He blew some coverages, but he could make every play. There's nobody on this secondary that's really a short tackler. So that was a bad play, but that kid was phenomenal. I mean, that run was pretty special. And then they score on a block kick, and then they score on a short field after an interception. So 29 yards. So that was the game. And then all the penalties, and it was just brutal. So Shane, I mean, and everybody watched it, but just when you really look back, they were inside the red zone twice in the last 2 series, scored 3 points, 3 false starts. So they're just killed themselves with that stuff. And I don't know how they couldn't figure it out. It's challenging, I understand. And that crowd is vociferous for sure. I mean, it's an impressive crowd. People, it's Kentucky, 60,000, whatever. They get loud and they're intense. They're into it. But still, your LSU at a noon, they lucked out with a noon start in that game because that crowd's going to be dead, and LSU's going nowhere this year.
No, I agree. It was very disappointing. I couldn't figure out what we were trying to do offensively because I said on the broadcast, we had one-on-one opportunities out of a certain formation, and we never took advantage of it. And I don't know why, because only good things happen when you throw it down the field. All right, Edgar, so tell me what Bianchi had to say.
Well, okay, so first off, we have like this program called Social Flow. It's kind of a new thing that we're using. So whenever I write a story and it publishes, it just automatically tweets. I don't really like that because I kind of like to dress the tweets up because it might get someone to click on it a little and read the story. It gives you more information like, here's what it says versus just like an 8-word headline. So this thing pops up on my deal last night, and it is, Bianchi calling for Anthony Richardson to play more, right? I'm trying to find what it says, but it's Bianchi, juicing up the headline a little bit. And, and I'm like it says Gators could lose Anthony Richardson to college football's new wild and woolly free agency. Now, if you read the column, nobody reads these things. They just see the headline and then they start ripping you because nobody's going to click. I get it. No one wants to pay the subscription rate.
I just clicked on one of your articles and it says I got to pay something. Right?
That's the problem. Here's the thing with the newspaper industry, man. We are now charging for a product that was free for years, online that is. right? And the price isn't cheap either. I mean, I think it's $16 a month for us. It's a little, it could be whatever. I'm not going to debate that. I don't want to get in trouble with my company. I think if it was half that, people would buy more of them. Now, anyway, point being, Mike writes this column. It pops up on my timeline because it's Gators related content. Social flow is going to push it to my deal. So people are just ripping me a new one about this column. And I'm like, I got a new iPad yesterday. I'm very excited. And I'm like checking it out and doing all, and my phone's bouncing off the table. And I finally go, what the heck is it? And I'm like, you suck, Edgar. Go get a new job and all this. The usual course of fan discontent toward me. And it's like, I didn't even write the column. But the column, the point of the column, and it is a fair point, is that Dan Mullen, if you recall, Shane, when all this NFL buzz was going, whether it was real or not, and it was really maybe just a contract negotiation thing, but he said, look, college football's landscape is becoming very challenging. One-time transfer rules, the NIL. I mean, the game's just changing, the transfer portal, which he's taking good advantage of, but these things are becoming challenges. So that coaches just didn't have to deal with before. Anthony Richardson is going to be coveted as a transfer by other programs. Not saying he's going to leave. He's a Gainesville kid. He loves the Gators. He seems to love the team and his teammates and the coaches and all that. He and Emory seem to get along fantastically. I'm not saying the guy's going to leave. But what if he doesn't play more? What if he's playing 6 snaps? He needs to play this week, period.
Well, he's going to play. He's going to play, and he's going to run all over Vanderbilt. But again, I don't know if I've told you, Edgar, and it was funny. I was at a high school game last night here locally. I had 2 people come up to me, and I was shocked at their questions to me, because everybody else that talks to me about Anthony Richardson is, wow, look at this. Those 2 people came to me and said they need to see him play against legitimate talent because they watched him play in high school. And again, you can't compare. It's not fair, but people have it in their mind about how he played against quality high school teams. And I was just surprised. I mean, these 2 people, I don't even know them. And they just came up to me and asked me my thoughts, and I just let them talk. And I said, I agree with you 100%, because myself and a couple other coaches that had good teams or coached against him with good teams, he never won and they never scored on us. And it was amazing. So I do think he needs to play. But even if he plays this week, you still have no idea if he can play every down against SEC teams, because this is not an SEC team coming in here. These teams are worse than FAU and South Florida by far.
Vanderbilt's terrible. I mean, they lost, you're saying how bad they are this year. They lost 56-0 here in 19. So it's not, I mean, that was a brutal game. This is going to be a brutal game. So here's what I'm saying. And Mike kind of made the point here. But anyway, forget Mike's column. This is my thing. There is no reason to go to this game this week other than to see Anthony Richardson. What is there to see in this game? What are you going to say?
Nothing.
That kid needs to play. People want to see him. He needs this. He needs the reps. You need to keep getting him more comfortable, and you need to play him, I think, more. I'm not saying you start him in front of Emory. I'm not like in this crowd of bench Emory, start Anthony. I think that's absurd at this point. Let's get the kid more action. He's very athletic. I mean, I don't know if he's a transcendent player or not, but I tell you, those plays he made were, I don't care who it was against, were unbelievable.
Right, that's where my conversation with that gentleman, those 2 gentlemen, because we saw that in high school, but we didn't see it and I wish I just had a great, where did it go? Producer Evan, if you could send me that Facebook comment, I think it was Darble, just sent it. It was a long paragraph. I want to read that. So he will play, and he will probably run all over Vanderbilt, because I blame Dan on this, Edgar, because if you go back and you look at the South Florida game and you look at the FAU game, okay, his long 70-something yard run, wonderful. They lined up in an unbalanced set. FAU did not line up correctly. You and I would have run for 50-something yards, not 74, but we would have run for 50-something.
Five here, but okay.
5 for you. He called the same exact formation and play against Kentucky, and we got 2 yards on it because the Kentucky dude ran him out of bounds. Same exact formation, same exact play. Now, every game is different. The South Florida, the long touchdown passes, Dan called up beautiful plays, out-schemed them. South Florida had no idea. So I blame Dan for part of that because if he called those plays for Emory, now, who knows? Emory may have overshot him. He may not have made a good throw, but these guys were wide open is my point. And I think people want to see it. People get enamored over hurdling a guy. I understand it. And he is a freak of an athlete. There is no question about that. But it's almost like you wish you could see him play against Alabama. You wish you could see him play Tennessee, the rest of these games. But I told somebody the other day, you can't just like throw in the towel and say, okay, we want to see what we have for our future. Well, if that's the case, you might as well set down all the seniors and say, okay, let's see what we have left to play for the next couple of years. You see what I'm saying? I feel like Emory, and I think I got it right here. I want to read this real quick because this is where I was going. If I can pull it up. This is brought to you. This is a Facebook Live comment brought to you by Melvin Law. Man, he screenshot it, so I got to blow it up. He says, Darby says, hey, Shane and Edgar, from your professional experiences, do you think Anthony Richardson gives Florida a better chance of winning than Emory? Look, I do believe AR will be a great and continue to develop into a great Gator. I just think people get overly excited about what we witnessed in the first 2 games. I agree. I am not sure if those things happen against SEC talent, and we witnessed that somewhat against University of Kentucky. Emory, to me, played a fairly solid game, and yet people calling for his head. Thanks for your response. I went back and watched tape. I thought Emory played pretty well. He threw an interception, bad decision, horrible route as well. I don't think people want to talk about the route wasn't very good, but Emory should not have thrown that ball. So anyway.
Can he attack downfield, in your opinion?
No, it was not called. It was not called.
But I'm saying, can he? I mean, I don't know. But
yes. Here's the thing, and I've said this to a lot of people. When you have a young, inexperienced quarterback starting a game, his first couple of games, what do you hear these commentators and these people talk about? Well, you got to develop the short passing game, get the ball out of his hand, throw slants and hitches, and get him confidence. I disagree with that 100%. Throwing the ball short brings so much into play. Throwing the ball deep is easy. You don't really have to think. You may have to look one guy off, and then you just launch it. Okay? And if it does something bad happen there, it's like a punt. You throw a slant or a hitch, and you throw it later behind a guy, it's usually a pick six. So I don't know why we're not throwing the ball down the field more often, in my opinion. But I would, and you'll probably see a bunch of deep balls this week, I would guess. But that's my only gripe is people want to say Emory, and maybe he can't throw it down. I mean,
he's definitely got the arm.
Yeah, that's not the.
So Shane, let me just ask you, because I don't know how much time we have here. We're probably running out.
Oh, Lord, time went by fast.
Yeah, because I wanted to pick your brain a little, knowing the position better than anybody weighing in with these opinions. I mean, people breaking down film. I mean, there are people that are just like, Emory's just no good. He's got no chance. He can't see the field. All he can throw is hitch routes. I think Emory's talented, and I really like the young man. I think he's a class act. I like to deal with him. I hope he does well. So
we got to wrap up. We got 10 seconds, Edgar. I had no idea. We're going to get you back on because we need to talk more. I can't believe how fast that went, and I apologize. But I appreciate you joining the program, Edgar.
All right, man. Anytime.
All right, that's Edgar Thompson joining us. Today's show's a wrap brought to you by Wrap Spot. We'll see you on Monday.
Bye.